If in Zimbabwe I belong to Chivi, right? Chivi North, right, or Chivi South, right? I need to be able to go to a councillor with Ward 3, where I come from, right? And I should be able to connect with them and be able to, if I want to send money directly, if I want to send it through the party, if I want to do an activity, if I want to help with events, that will help in terms of actually connecting with the people. So please, please, please try to make sure that you are actively connecting with people here on social media. On the ground is equally important. You're already there, but also social media has become a platform for us to connect. So I hope you do put that into consideration, and I hope that the party moves that all of its members of parliament, all of its councillors have active accounts so that it's easy. You can then update us what you're doing in your communities. That way, there's also better accountability from all angles. Thank you, host. I'm not sure, Washington, if you had a line that you were looking at, or if you'd like me to proceed with picking speakers for to go next.
You can proceed, Jessica. You can proceed. We can just work the same way we always work. You can proceed, and yeah, I'll take it on from there.
All right, that's okay. Chris, Christ Addict, please go ahead, and then we will have Mambo Sose if you have something you'd like to say. Christ Addict, you were raising your hand.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
You can. Okay. I actually don't know who to direct my question to, but I'm very concerned. I have been motivating some people to register to vote, but a lot of them they are complaining that they are not able to acquire IDs. What is the party doing to make sure that besides just motivating people, there's follow-up on the ground to make sure that people have IDs so that they can register to vote. Secondly, I have been to rural areas, particularly Chirumanzo. People have a fear that has been installed to them by ZANU-PF that if you vote for MDC, we are going to take land from you. People have been resettled there by ZANU-PF. What is the party doing to assure those people that if they vote for CC, they are not going to lose their land? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mambo Sose, would you like to come through before we go to the other speakers?
Yes, thank you, and revolutionary greetings or yellow greetings to all the yellow comrades here. Thank you so much for this program, co-hosts and all the hosts. Let me greet our leader here, Netai. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm seeing our candidate for Kwekwe. She's here, Honorable Judith Tobaiwa, our National Youth Deputy Treasurer. I'm sure she can jump on the speakers. She has been here for the longest time. I was seeing here, and let me just also try to chime in on the issue of the councillors and other leaders that are failing to connect. Let's not undermine the issue of data, the issue of connectivity. I always hold the programs online, and I find that if I don't provide data, someone would genuinely not be having data to be able to join. So in the absence of data, maybe we should actually be calling them like what Dr. Rico is doing. That's the easiest option there. We call them and then we connect them to speak. It's much easier that way. And then I've seen since we started, it's only citizen Barbara, leader Barbara, who has donated $50. This is a fundraiser, and I think I don't need to overemphasize the need for us to do something about our candidates. They are contesting against ZANU-PF and Monzora candidates that are well oiled, with money that is being stolen from us. And if that doesn't make you angry, I don't know what will. And we don't want your anger to be just out there. We want you to, convert your anger into action. What ZANU PF and Monzora are doing should act as, a kind motivation for you to help, or for all of us to help our candidates, so that we retain all our seats. Comrades, if we do not retain all our seats, all the seats where our councillors and members of parliament were illegally removed, it will be a disaster for us. And it will just dampen the mood and the momentum that we have created. So it is really important that we support our candidates. These are candidates that are not working, and they're not working because they don't want to work. They are working because of what we all know. So they cannot support.
Sorry, Chief. Sorry, Chief. We will ask the Councillor Steen. Councillor Steen, can you go ahead and speak?
Okay, thank you.
It's unfortunate that I was not on the platform, but as you can see that we are in the chance, and it be very grateful for you guys to help us in any way so that we could win this kind of by-election. Oh.
Yes, go ahead. We are hearing you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Shikamati, Ethiopia. Show me.
Okay. So it looks like Councillor Steen is having real network problems. We'll try Councillor Stephen Liwayo.
Hello. Yes. So while we are waiting for the host to bring Councillor Liwayo, I think
Hello. Let Councillor Stephen Liwayo speak. Sorry for that. Go ahead, Councillor Liwayo.
Good evening, all. I think by-election are very important. I think, in my view, it's going to be an appetizer pointing the future, especially of 2023 as a party. So as a Zimbabwe in a poor economy, as councillor, as candidate for by-election, I think we need support as far as this election are concerned. It can be material or financially, but we need to win these elections at all costs. So it will make our way forward as a political party. I think that's my contribution at the moment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Liwayo. Thank you. So that's those are two councillors that we have managed to reach, as you have heard for yourself. It is very hard for them because of the network. The first one, we couldn't even hear him clearly. And the second one, it was better, but we are trying our best to make sure that they can be able to speak. Whilst we are waiting for them, we'll ask our youth leader to speak. Leader Nitsai, can you go ahead?
Thank you very much, Dr. Zico. Revolutionary greetings to everyone who has joined this space. I don't want to say anything. I just wanted to highlight to you that Honorable Judith Tobaiwa has been waiting here for long. So could you please add her as a speaker so maybe she can speak while she's still on network. She's our by-election candidate for Kwekwe Central. So I see her. Kindly please add Honorable Judith Tobaiwa. Thank you.
Honorable Tobaiwa, can you try to come on using a phone, a mobile device? I understand that you are together with your councillors there. Can you try to come in with a mobile device and request the mic? We have been trying to add you. Can you request the mic or try to come out of the space and then come back and request the mic? uh, she's joining, we can continue with the other speakers. We'll be trying to connect with her, also inbox her and see what we can do. You can go ahead, Mr. Washington. Can you be calling the other speakers as I try to connect with to help Leader Judith?
Thank you, host. Just to let you know, our link is right on top of the tweet. Those who are wishing to make their donations, please, if you go on the link and you press on the link, it will give you options of either pay via PayPal or by card. And if you are not able to pay by PayPal, go to where it says by card. If you press that link, it then gives you options where you can put your card details and make your payments. The payment method is very secure. Thank you very much. I think we can have on our next speakers. We've got Leverson. Can you go ahead and speak, please?
Good evening, citizens. I also have a contribution that I think is gonna help us through this struggle. I understand that we are having by-elections in March, and most of our councillors, especially this space today, it was a space for them to come express themselves, tell us what's on the ground, and we are asking them questions. We need to understand a lot of things. A lot of people that are on this space, I understand also that they are outside the country and they want to help in any way they can. And they also want to contribute plans. They also want to contribute help. So what they also want to understand from the people
My brother,
Livingston. Yes.
Can I ask you to hold on a while? One of our leaders has managed to connect and she's having trouble connecting from home. I'll give you a chance later. Can we ask Leader Judith to speak, please? And can I also advise, if you're on the speakers, can you make sure your mic is muted because it's disturbing? Mute your mics, please, because if you don't mute your mics, we are going to remove you. Thank you. Leader Judith, can you unmute your mic and speak, please? Thank you very much. Leader Judith Tobaiwa. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, leadership. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you so much for such a platform. I appreciate very well for diaspora for. Okay, thank you very much, leadership. Thank you very much.
My leader, I think there are other people with the devices listening in. If you ask them to mute so you can speak clearly, or to move a little bit away from you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate for this platform. My name is Honorable Tobayawa. I'm from Kwekwe Central constituency. We are having our by-elections and we've got 3 councillors who are being involved in these by-elections. As Kwekwe Central constituency, this is a mining area which is comprised of 8 wards and 1 peri-urban ward, which is Ward 6. And as Kwekwe Central, it's a green zone for us. However, because of ZANU-PF control, The only economic activity which is here in Kwekwe Central, it's mining. It's very difficult for our supporters to openly show up and support, and this always distort our data as CCC members. It is also important to know that Kwekwe, despite being a mining town, it used also to be an industrial town until it was destroyed. Uh, we we are contesting against the gold mongers who are well oiled. Also, they have access to state resources. So they are taking advantage of the poverty to the people in their grassy resources. Our biggest challenge, especially to cover regalia and advertisements, because of mining people in Kwekwe Central. Basically, we are very mobile, and also lack of exposure to opportunities that are available to their cities, like training from NGOs that might capacitate the people to see the things differently, um, from these constituents. And also, the main problem we have in Kwekwe, we have got so many factions in ZANU-PF which have gone beyond political concentration to personal hatred. Those in mining also being forced to pay 60% tribute to the ZANU-PF leaders from their ventures, and the same money is used to fund political activities. So as CCC, we don't have money, and also as a new party which is registered against the gold mongers, we are having difficulties in campaigning because
I think we're having challenges there with network. We will keep you on, Leader Judith. Can I also acknowledge the we've got ZimEye, they are live on Facebook, using our Twitter handle as well. So if there are other people who are not able to join on Twitter, please let's tweet and let them know that ZimEye is also beaming our conversation on Facebook. Thanks to ZimEye for that. Leader Judith, can you speak now?
hello.
Go ahead, we can hear you. I think she's dropped. Um, keep trying. We will keep trying to bring you back as a speaker on, and I'm going to go on to Elton Marimbita. Elton, do you want to take the floor? My brother Lavison, I'll get back to you in a minute.
Okay. No, thank you so much. Thank you for awarding me this opportunity to perhaps share in on our great movement. Right. Firstly, I would also want to greet everybody that is on the space. Okay, mine is just a small submission. I feel perhaps it might actually try to help, most especially in those areas where we tend to suffer from a lot of victimization from ZANU-PF supporters, and also any element that is against the people of Zimbabwe getting their freedom. Take, for instance, in the rural areas, obviously, there's lots of people out there that would really want to see some change coming through in their areas, and also most especially throughout the country, but they are not able to openly express themselves. So in that instance, maybe just for the sake of them being protected, I think it would be wise for them not to be vibrant, really show their affiliation to our to the Triple C movement. Also, just play along, play along with the ZANU-PF politics. I mean, when you look at situations whereby people have to get farming inputs, if you're not loyal, you don't get those. So you might as well just pretend to be one of them, chant the slogans, do whatever that you have to do to also survive and sit in. But deep down inside you, know where your vote goes. So we don't necessarily have to sort of make our people be sidelined just because they are affiliated to an alternative. Rather, let them. We can also encourage them. Don't be afraid to be with them so that you also benefit. Because in any case, those are state resources. They're not really an entitlement to ZANU PF or those people that support the junta. So that will also apply also like the honorable thing. In these mining areas like Kwekwe, these gold panners, I would still want to call them that, and the so-called artisanal mines. If it means they have to do that to survive, then they just have to do that. I encourage them. They shouldn't feel ashamed to be doing those things in the meantime for them to survive, but knowing where their heart is and knowing where their vote is. So that is basically my submission. So tell those people in the rural areas, no, don't be afraid. If you're to get if for you to get that 50 kg of fertilizer, it means you have to carry some kind of Zanopy of whatever. Let it be. So let them do that, but deep down inside, encourage them. When it's time to vote, know where your vote goes. Thank you. That's my submission.
Thank you, my brother.
Host, Honorable Tobaiwa is here via WhatsApp. You can go ahead, Honorable.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, leadership. I think I'm having network problem from my side, but I'm having my three councillors with me. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Leader, we can't hear you.
We will try to connect again. It has dropped.
Thank you, Leader Rico. We've got Zimbabwe Lives Matter there. Please, can we keep to less than 2 minutes? If you keep going, I'm going to have to remove you. We need to give as many people a chance to speak as possible. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Can you hear me now?
Live and clear.
All right. Okay. My second contribution from the first one I made earlier is that as you have heard that there is a lot of intimidation that is going on in the rural areas. I know I grew up there and it's real. So I would want to propose that if it is not happening now in the areas, especially in the rural areas, maybe we should maybe take note of it and implement it. Is that for an example, we have adopted the issue of cell group as the not cell group, the polling station that our structures are going to be based on the polling stations. Let's say we have a minimum or a maximum of 10 leaders in that polling station, and then we say that at least one leader in there should manage 20 or 10 households only, 10 that you need to report on a monthly or on a weekly basis to the leadership or to the leader of that cell group. So if we have that in place, and then we say a minimum of 20 of a minimum of 2 members per household. If we have 10 households, you know that at least a minimum of 2 people in that households are going to vote. And then we have that statistics in place. We don't let them like go public and all the stuff, but we make sure that we know at that house we have our member, at that house we have our member, even though the member is not active. But we know that, let's say we have 11,000 polling station, and we say a minimum or a maximum of 10 leader per polling station. Multiply that by 10, it's 120 people, and then we say a minimum of 10 households per each leader. That will give us at least 2 members in each household. If you multiply that 11,000 by 10 by 20, you see that we have at least a minimum of 2.2 million votes that we know that this one is guaranteed. That should be a springboard, especially for the upcoming 2023 election. And then when we have that springboard, we know that there are silent supporters who doesn't want to be affiliated with any political party. That should push us far ahead of ZANU-PF. this is my submission. If it has not been implemented, I would maybe urge the party leaders to consider the issue of cell group in a polling station.
Thank
so
you, my
that each and
brother.
every leader have got the responsibility, know that I'm managing these 20 households or 10 households.
I think we've lost you there. Um, this space is being recorded, ladies and gentlemen. So if there's anybody who's not able to attend today, you can always go back if you've missed anything and pick it up. Our leaders will also be advised. If you've got something really burning, we urge you to send us some of your concerns, your contributions in writing, because it will be easier for us to then hand them over, pass them over to the candidates. I think that a lot of us who are here to assist with the fundraiser would probably need to know how to go ahead with the help. The help that is required, which is one of the reasons why we are bringing the leaders to come and speak to us here, is so that at least you can hear first-hand information on what's happening. The next question that I'm also going to ask the leaders is, what is it that they want us to do? We are trying to build resources at the same time as fundraising for money that will also assist in helping in many ways. So we've got the link right at the top there. Those who are ready to put their donations through, please just go on the link. We've got a PayPal link and a link that you can use, a debit, credit, or a MasterCard to do your donation. I ask that you find somewhere in your heart to say, I want to be a part of those who are going to change Zimbabwe. Thank you. I'm going to ask Leader Levson to go ahead. Please, you got 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, last time when I was dropped, I was giving an insight that our councillors must be active, especially on social media. If they are not able to be active here, for them to give us whatever that is happening on the ground, what needs to be done, what they need, they should even allocate someone who is active, who knows how to go on Twitter Spaces, so that they can come give us feedbacks. We know what's going on, because some of us, most of us, in fact, on these Twitter Spaces, are outside the country. Ne? So what we need is to know what's going on. What we also have to give them advices. It's not like that we have gone outside and we don't know what's happening. We don't know what used to happen there. Me, for example, I know what we used to do there back then. We used to go in the night, go in places, guys, where there are guys that are standing outside. Guys, we need to vote for MDC back then. Because of this, we used to even do underground checks, underground campaigns and what, because of intimidation and violence. So some of these ideas, some of the ideas that people have here, they need to reach out to on the ground. But how? Through these councillors or their delegations that they bring here on Spaces. I actually want these councillors to come whenever we have these spaces, or delegate someone who can come and give insight of what's happening on the ground, and we give them advices. Also in fundraise again. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. My brother, while we are still on your contribution,
Yes.
this is just what's coming in my head. Can
Yes.
we, those who think they can help and reach out to our councillors, talk to them and see how we can help them? This is why we are bringing these things up. I just leave you with that challenge. Thank you. We go to Justin. Justin, you can unmute and speak.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'll try to be quick so that I will allow others to participate. In the afternoon, I once reiterated that we need to have our candidates, councillors and MP,
and MPs being active on social media. And also, actually, they also need to establish teams whom they would work with, especially during this time of election campaign, and so that at least they keep their electorate up to date, because they are the people on the ground. So they must at least come up with
Sorry,
statistics.
Justin. Sorry, can I just stop you just a minute? I have one of the councillors with Honorable Judith Tobayo was ready to speak, so I've connected
Thank
him
you.
through another phone. So can we just
Uh,
give him a chance? Then you can come in.
Thank you very much. It's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So,
Leader Nitai.
Councillor Kuda, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you, Leader Nitai. How are you, citizens? First, let me apologize. We are really having network challenges here. We've been trying all the networks till one. Even now, we are now using net one, but it has gone off totally. However, I'm not sure if the Honorable was audible enough when she highlighted how our constituency is. I myself a young councillor in Ward 8. It was a seat formerly held by the late Deputy Mayor, His Worship as Tobayo. So apparently, as Honorable alluded, here in Kwekwe is a former industrial city and a mining town. So what's really happening due to the destruction of the industry sector? Most people are now relying in mining. So ZANU-PF has managed to capture the mining sector in Kwekwe. For one to be able to do mining, you are forced to wear ZANU-PF regalia. You are forced to pay allegiance to ZANU-PF. So most of the people in Kwekwe are no longer free to participate in political activities. Rather, they prefer to support underground. However, due to some efforts that we have been doing, we have done door-to-door programs. We have also started our campaign. We are having an advantage of the new baby in town, CCC. There is a euphoria in Kwekwe, whereby ZANU-PF, due to its factional fights, they've managed to push some of their members out, even some of the supporters that we had who were supporting underground. Because of the treatment they are getting in the mines, they are now forcing themselves to support CCC publicly. But however, due to challenges whereby of resources, shortage of t-shirts, I was hoping that as CCC will tap in the euphoria that we currently have, where people are happy with the yellow color, people are trying to identify themselves with the new baby in town. It was ideal if CCC could pull resources together. We paint Kwekwe yellow. And unfortunately, today we had a voter registration campaign. It started today, also taking the opportunity to introduce our candidates to voters. All people are asking for is regalia. And I think if we are managed to tap into this euphoria, we can manage it and build up momentum that we can support till 2023. Because what's happening in Kwekwe is things are now changing from what they used to be. And I want to thank the introduction of the CC, because it has seen a number of people that we never thought would come out publicly and support us, coming to support us. But however, we as the candidates on the ground, we cannot do it alone. I want to appreciate what leaders or citizens have been bringing forward. Yes, as your candidates, we need to do more on the ground. We need to advertise and share the kind of things that we're doing on social media, so that even you who are supporting us from across the globe, you can really appreciate and get to see what we're really doing. It's really something that we need to consider and work on as candidates. I also want to consider that here in Kwekwe, I want to believe that we've been trying our best. We started with the Honorable's page, which we thought we could use to air out the activities that we are doing in Kwekwe. And now we are moving to each and every councillor, so that we have a councillor. Councillors have been using WhatsApp. I think that is in the challenge, where it's limited to people only in Kwekwe, yet we need to appraise even fellow citizens across the globe. So I think we will be correcting some of these things as we are going forward. I think this is the good thing about having teamwork, whereby someone in the ground may fail to see certain things that someone from outside can appreciate and quickly advise their fellows to change. So what I can say for now is here in Kwekwe, we have an opportunity to really turn and paint Kwekwe yellow. But us just as the candidates, considering that we are contesting against people controlling the mining sector, they are actually getting support from the state. So us as the candidates alone as the ground, we only part and parcel of the faces of the party to the people. But now we need the party also and fellow citizens to support us in executing our mandates on the ground, because apparently this by-election is not only about us, the candidates, or about getting the seats in parliament, but it's paving way for 2023. We need to build a narrative, and this narrative starts now on the 26th of March. So I want to believe that as the candidates, with the groundwork that we are taking and the support from fellow citizens across the globe, we can really plan for 2023 and wait for it now, so that when we get to 2023, we are very sure that we have done the work and we are ready to go to State House. Thank you so much, leader.
My leader, before you go, I think that all the citizens who are on this call tonight would probably want to know what it is that you want from them, or what it is that you need. There are two things. There are things that you probably would want, and there are things that you really need to be able to get going. What are those things? I think if you share with the leadership here and the citizens, I'm sure it will not be coming. It's something that's not be coming from us, but coming from yourselves. So, do you mind sharing things that you really need to get you going, to really make sure that you go and reach to those people that are hard to reach? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, leader, for the opportunity. What I think basically for now, as we head towards 26th of March, what we need is Kwekwe Central, mostly first of all, it's regalia. I'm talking of t-shirts, I'm talking of caps. I would actually propose that for Kwekwe Central, if we could have at least 15,000 t-shirts and 15,000 caps, it can really help us market the brand. I also think that we need flyers, placards, and banners for now, because we have certain areas whereby we might not get the opportunity to talk to people. We use posters. You can also use flyers and banners. And I think maybe I can request my colleagues here to assist. Maybe I might have missed one or two things.
Thank you. We're waiting. Bring them on. We want to hear them talking, leadership. Thank you very much. We are here.
On that note, I also received from the councillor of Ward 40, Stephen Liwayo. He's saying that some of the things which may be required for a councillor to win by-elections in preparation for 2023 are posters, t-shirts, flyers, fuel and transport or motor vehicles, foodstuffs, stationery, banners, barrettes, payment of polling agents. Those are the things that were listed there. And I would like to say we are left with 10 minutes because the other program where we can continue with this same discussion, but it will now be around the voter registration blitz. It will be coming in 10 minutes. So we'll be wrapping up in exactly 10 minutes. So if you have a chance to speak, 1 minute, and that will be it.
Okay.
Host, we still have councillors with leader Netai who are still speaking there. So I think we would give them a chance to continue speaking. Thank you, leader Netai.
Can I come in?
Please.
Yes, go ahead, Honorable.
Okay, thank you very much. Also, I think he had missed something on the material which is needed for our campaign. As you know, in 2018, we lost against Matamba Nadzo with 451 votes. So we are trying to mobilize regalia, and also as we mentioned that we've got since it's a mining town, most of the people were benefiting from Blackman Matamba Nadzo because there's a lot of mining areas where you could take his people and you could employ them. So what we think, we need also hampers for old people, and also we need maybe we need also fuel for transport. As I mentioned, that we have got a peri-urban ward, which is in Ward 6, and it's very big, and also it has got so many people. I think it has got 5,300 people. So we need to go there almost every day because it's very far. So apart from regalia, we need fuel, and I think that's all for Kwekwe Central.
Thank you, my leader. Thank you, my leader. Thank you, councillors, as well. We really appreciate that. I think the challenge is now in our hands, ladies and gentlemen. We have a link right at the top there, where we can actually start doing some contributions so that our leadership can get to get some tools that they need. Without those tools, it's going to be difficult for us to retain these seats. So I think that we need to show by doing. I also want to appreciate Leader Simba, who has donated his $50 via the link. There is also a leader. Just bear with me a second. Um, we have a plan. He's also put in his $50. So leadership, let's try and make sure we help with the requests that are being made. I am also going to put my $50, so which is going to go towards these by-elections. And I urge each and every person to do your best. You don't have to put 100, 200, 300. You can do what your heart tells you. The link is right up there. Please, let's do the noble thing. Thank you very much. Leader Netsa, you put your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to notify you that we now have Councillor Kudzai Kadzombe on the listeners. So may you please kindly add her to speak as well before we close the session.
Thank you. If you can hear us, Alida, could you request a mic? Please request a mic. We also look for you as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Host, I think you wanted to say something.
Yes, I also wanted to acknowledge that we have got Leader Lorraine, who contributed, who will donate 10 t-shirts toward 18 Kwekwe.
Kudos to you. Thank you, Leader Lorraine. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I think
Leader Kudzai is here, I think.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Lisa Kudai, you can unmute and meet the citizens. Leader Kudai, you can unmute and meet the citizens. Thank you very much. Leader Kudai, if you can hear me, please unmute and speak with the citizens. It looks like she's having difficulties there. When you're able to speak, just let us know and we will give you the platform. I think she's just dropped. Perhaps it's network. Team change. I think it was your chance to speak.
Hello. Councillor Msonza from Chitungwi, 5 councillors who was recalled. My question is, and also my question, I just want to thank you guys from the diaspora with the work that you have done and that you are still doing. Thank you very much. Pamabvisa ipapo aiwa Mwari ngaawedzere pataputswa. And secondly, honestly speaking, tiri kurova shiri mbiri nedombo rimwe chete. You will find kuti
We seem to have lost the councillor. What has happened there? Team change. Try and get hold of the councillor again. I think in the meantime, I'm going to go to our Honorable Caston Mateo. You can unmute, my leader. Leader Caston, if you can hear me, please unmute and speak. I think we're definitely having a very big network challenge in Zimbabwe. I'm going to go to the next person is Mundau. Mundau, you can unmute and speak while we are waiting for the other leaders to get back onto the podium. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
You are clear. We can hear you clearly.
Okay. So I'm just going to give an elaboration of what we are doing in Chipinge district. So we are a support group in the UK, and we've got a few members in South Africa. So what we are doing is we took the whole of Chipinge district, the 5 districts. So we are trying to mobilize first people to join our support group, the people from Chipinge, so that we can work together and make sure that Chipinge is painted yellow. So this is what we are doing at the moment. Where we bought footballs and netballs for voter mobilization, and we are fighting those things this week. So by maybe mid-February, they will have the footballs, and then after that we are going to be doing t-shirts and also mobilizing mobile phones and all the other stuff that is needed. So, but the challenge that we are facing is most people promise, but they don't tend to engage. And we would love as well to have maybe senior members coming to support us. At the moment, we were not doing spaces for Chipinge support group because we've realized that there is a lot of spaces going on, especially for fundraising for the party. So we were just announcing whenever we get a platform, just like what I'm doing now, that we exist, we are there, we are a Chipinge support group, a Chipinge district support group, and we need people from Chipinge and even other people from outside who want to be part of us, who want to support Chipinge, who want change to be established in Chipinge. So this is my piece. This is what I just wanted to say to you, to announce to the people. We want you to know that something is happening, but we need support. And those who might want to join us, you can get me on my Twitter handle Mundau, and yeah, we can sort things out. And we usually meet twice a month as the committee, and we meet once a month for the support group where other members are. The reason being that we need to be organizing every time and updating each other every time. So that's all that we'll be doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my leader Mdau. I'm sure everyone is hearing what other people are doing out there. So Let's continue working. Go back again to Leader Netai there. Leader Netai, you can unmute and let the councillor speak. Thank you very much.
Hello?
Councillor Kudzai, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Leader Netai. Good evening to you all, fellow citizens. My name is Kudzai Kadzombe, recalled councillor for Ward 41 in Marlborough, Harare West. I was recalled just after being in office for a year and a few months, but I've just always just made sure that I have been active on the ground, proffering solutions and just making sure that I'm an effective community leader. But my plea to fellow citizens in the diaspora is you are the major property holders, in Harare West especially. And what I just want to encourage is for you to encourage those back home to just register to vote. We're starting with a registration blitz on the 17th of February for 16 days. So, that is a very good opportunity for people to actually come through and register to vote. But as we're going through the campaign for the by-elections, that people in the low density areas, which is the semi-affluent area, really need to be motivated to actually go through and vote on the by-election when there's not a presidential candidate. But the good thing about it is they come out in numbers to vote if you have created a personal relationship with them. And this is something that I have tried to nurture, ever since I started staying in Harare West, which is now about 12 years. So that is maybe one thing that I know I'm grateful for, that, I had good mentorship from fellow female leaders, that, you always have to stay with the people, be part of the, the community that you're in, help in any way that you can. And, in 26 March on the by-elections, we are all going to be celebrating, all the efforts that, I've made. And I'm just glad that, of the opportunity that, we've got a new party as citizens, Triple C. It's just yellow in Marlborough. And, everyone is excited. I get calls, I get messages, Councillor, we need regalia. We need to paint Ward 41 yellow. And I've assured them that, we're the materials, the T-shirts, the regalia. And obviously, it can't just be ordinary regalia. Because people want something that's a bit hip, because our president is a young, energetic, and hip president, so they want to associate themselves with with a brand like that. So thank you very much for all the efforts that you do. We appreciate it, whether they're monetary or advice or just links. We really do appreciate it on the ground. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you there, my leader, for speaking to us. We're going to need more of you talking to the citizens on such platforms. Citizens, we have a challenge. Yes,
can I come in?
Yes,
so
sure.
right now the main space for the party has started. We kindly ask all of you to go and join that space. It's CCC Zimbabwe. If you have questions or contributions, we kindly ask you to make them in that space. It's about voter registration blitz, but definitely you can make your contributions there. So thank you so much. This will mark the end of today's program. Can we kindly go to
Viewers and listeners, we have switched to the other Twitter spaces, which is at CCC Zimbabwe. As you can hear, it's just starting, they're just playing music. So please hang in there. Very soon they will start speaking.
Choose leaders of their choice as a pathway to shape the collective destiny for different generations, including our own generation. This right, fellow Zimbabweans, was realized after the ushering in of a democratic breakthrough after the lifting of the Union Jack. This right has been exercised in Zimbabwe in every 5 years, as codified in the new Zimbabwean Constitution in Section 3 as universal suffrage and a key fundamental value of what defines a Zimbabwean citizen. The laws of this country. Fellow Zimbabweans, the democratic movement as was formed a few days ago has a clear objective to attain political power, govern differently, and transform the concrete lives of our people. Today's space, fellow Zimbabweans, is about the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission voter registration program, whose intention is to ensure that every Zimbabwean who's not a registered voter is registered to vote. Today, we are going to have a conversation as Zimbabweans and Africans on the importance of this right to vote. There are key questions amongst different citizens across the entire country. The question is, why should people register to vote? Why is it important for young people between the ages of 18 to 35 to register as voters? The debate at this particular juncture, fellow Zimbabweans, is not about who do we vote for. The question is, why should we vote? There are different researches, fellow Africans, as you know, that have revealed how much young people constitute in terms of the demographic distribution in our country. 67% of the different demographics groups of the population in this country are young people between the ages of 18 and 35. It is in that background, fellow Zimbabweans, that we today, the alternative movement, have decided to host this particular space with the intention to learn from young people, with the intention to hear from young people, with the intention to call out to young people. Was the first moral responsibility for a young person in our country is to be a registered voter. So today we want to have a discussion as an alternative on why it is important to register as a voter. We are going to look at the challenges and opportunities that young people face. Just today, we were in different parts of Harare as an alternative to monitor the activities of the commission, the traffic of different citizens, to make sure that people turn out to register as voters. Key important figures is the distribution of registration centers in urban areas and in rural areas. We've noted with concern as a democratic alternative, the Citizens Coalition for Changes, led by Reverend Nelson Chamisa, that the distribution of registration centers is a cause for concern. But with all these challenges, huge opportunities lie ahead. The opportunity to have young people to come out in huge numbers to register as voters, to have young people participating and airing their voice around the collective vision and future of our country. As I've said, 67% of the population in Zimbabwe are young people. The most important and generational call is, how do we as society, how do we as a generation, how do we as a citizenry ensure that young people are registered as voters? It is in that background, fellow Zimbabweans, that we come today to host this particular space with the intention to make sure that we discuss and unpack the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. I would start with giving you, fellow Africans, the reflections from today's voter registration program. Number one, the most important issue that we realize across the entire country is that people are willing to register as voters. Number two, we as an alternative government have realized the importance of access to documents as a prerequisite to ensure that people are registered as voters. So we are going to have a few remarks from the national spokesperson of the Democratic Alternative, whom I'm hosting this space with Advocate Mahere, to say a few words to young people. We are also going to invite young people in the Democratic Alternative, the Citizens Coalition for Change, to come and speak in terms of their experience, what they've discovered on the ground, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities that are emerging for young people to ensure that we register as voters. For us, in the citizens movement, our target is to make sure that we have 6 million votes in the next election. That vote is defined and determined with the voter registration program that is currently ongoing. Fellow Zimbabweans, fellow Africans, fellow citizens, without much ado, allow me to introduce the national spokesperson of the citizens movement, Advocate Mahere, to give us a few remarks so that we begin our conversation for today. I thank you, Comrade Advocate.
Thank you so much, Ostallos, and I just want to thank the team for hosting this evening's space. They're doing a fantastic job in the back room for comms, especially during this time of transition. Thank you so much. Tonight is a special evening which we reserved for the voices of young people. Unfortunately, according to the UN guidelines, I no longer qualify as young, but I'm very young at heart. So I'm not going to say a lot because we really want to hear from the generation of the moment, to hear what their aspirations are, what some of the drawbacks they're facing around voter registration, and also just to hear what their aspiration and expectations are as we enter this very important political season as we face the 2023 election. Now, I just wanted to say personally that, I used to be that person who chose not to be involved in politics, to sit in the terraces, to be like, no, I just want to be a simple conservative lawyer. I don't want to rock the boat. But there came a time when, life started to change for us in Zimbabwe. And this was really a consequence of bad governance, bad decisions. And I think it culminated in the decision to introduce bond notes. And this coincided with this flag. And we really had no option but to participate as citizens. And what I really want to encourage everyone is sometimes you feel like there's no space for you in the movement, or no space, you're not the right kind of person to do politics. I've got news for you. You absolutely have space, and there definitely is room. As young people in approaching 2023, not only should we insist on registering to vote and voting, but we should also participate in a really big way. As young people, we should be the ones putting our hands up to use our skills to be polling agents. We should be the ones volunteering to coordinate fundraising for a particular initiative. We should be the ones championing a strong volunteer program. We should be the ones pushing forward, alternative policies. And there's so many interesting things going on in the world today. Talk about green energy, talk about, sustainability, talking about, all sorts of things on the legal front. And, there's so much space for young people to participate. So this is really a time where, as young people, we should not be saying, what can Triple C or what can the movement do for me? Rather, we should be asking ourselves, what can I do for the movement? What can I pay as an investment in my future, and my wish for a brighter Zimbabwe? What can I do? How can I be, I don't want to say be the change because it's so be the change, but we really, if we want to start seeing change in our political space, we really have to act. We have to ask tough questions. We have to speak up and we have to act. Change is not just going to come automatically while we sit back and tweet, while we sit back in our houses and watch Netflix, or while we sit back and do absolutely nothing and share memes or TikToks. We really have to step up. And, I just want to say that as citizens, we're doing okay, but I think we can definitely do more. We have to own the process. Don't let politicians of any nature run away with the political space. Always make sure that citizens are holding all politicians to account. Politicians like Mugabe don't just happen. They happen because citizens are apathetic, they're not participating, they're not playing their part, they're not voting, they're not asking the tough questions. So we really have to start taking the citizens as an institution in a institution that's really there to hold all politicians accountable, to vote and demand answers. If someone is running for office, ask them, what is your plan for progress? Evaluate their sincerity of motive. So when we say people should register to vote, it's not registering to vote just as a box ticking exercise, but it's the first mandatory step that every person must take as part of their civic duty to participate and contribute to the greater good of their nation. So we really, really, really are encouraging everyone. I know the campaign is around registering to vote, which you should all do, but there is a larger conversation there around political participation, whether you're a young woman, a young man, a college student. Ask yourself, what do I want for Zimbabwe? How can I contribute to that? How can I raise my voice in my demand for that? Just so that we don't land back in the same spot in 2023, or even, 10 years later, asking ourselves, how do we remove ZANU-PF? And that's the reality we're staring in the face if we don't step up to participate in our political processes, if we don't register to vote. And we have to go even beyond that. We have to make sure our siblings, our family members, if you know anyone who is turning 18, turning 19, turning 20, and would be a first time voter, it literally is your obligation to say to that person, look, go and register to vote today. Or let's go and take your ID. Let's go and make sure that you are registered, because every vote counts. If we can make sure that every single household ensures that, their first time voter is registered to vote, that will go such a long way in ensuring that we secure democratic change in 2023. And as the Citizens Coalition for Change, we've set a target of 6 million votes. This vote or this number is absolutely achievable. All it means is that, if we had 2 million or 2.1 or 2.6 million in 2018, all it takes is for us to multiply each vote by 3. So if I voted, then I find two. All each person needs to do is to find 2 first-time voters. You can't tell me that that's too much to ask of citizens. Each of us can make sure that we just register just 2 new people. That's all you have to do. And then we're good to go. And once we overwhelm the system, they will have no chance. Once we win by like a huge margin, it will be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for them to rig. The Zambian experience taught us that, and so has the experience in a few other countries where they've had electoral malpractice. Now, just in closing, I want to say that we can see what the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission is trying to do. Even if you look at the format in which they set out the voter registration centers, and the way everything is jumbled up, and the way, certain constituencies have more seats because they think ZANU has a greater chance there, we can see exactly what it is they're playing at. But we have to be smarter. We have to be ahead of the game, and as citizens say, look, it could take me a whole afternoon, but that's the investment I'm willing to make to secure a brighter future. So please, I implore every single citizen, every single young man, every single young woman, even the grown folk, we also have a part to play. If you registered in 2018 or for the 2018 election, you don't have to vote this time. You don't have to register, I beg your pardon, this time around, but you do have an obligation to ensure that you find 2 new first-time voters. As a party, as a movement, we're also doing our part to mobilize on the ground. I think every single branch has got an obligation to secure a set number of new registrants. But, it's a task that behoves us all as citizens. It's our combined responsibility. Let's move away from that politics of sitting back and saying, someone else is going to do it, whether it's President Chamisa or Job Sikala or Hopewell or someone else is going to do it. You have the responsibility. You are accountable in as far as ensuring that we secure the bright future that we all aspire to. And when that new government comes, we will all have more jobs. We will all have an improved healthcare system. We'll all have a better education system. We'll all ensure that there's money in our pockets, money in our banks. We're able to save. We're able to get mortgages as young people. We're able to get opportunities. We're all able to have a country as Zimbabwe where there's freedom, fairness, and opportunity for all. So obviously, I'm a lawyer and a politician, so I could speak all night. All that remains is for me to thank you all so much for joining the space, and let's all speak out freely about our hopes, our aspirations around voter registration today. Make sure your voice is heard. Participating in the space in and of itself is a huge step. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what we can all do differently. If you've got a demand, if you've got a contribution, if you've got an idea, please, let's all hear it tonight. So thank you so much. And I really want to thank my deputy, Ostallos. He's doing fabulous work. Like, he is fantastic to work with, running around. So thank you so much, Ostallos, for hosting us this evening. And thank you very much, citizens. Let's do the heavy lifting necessary to ensure that we win Zimbabwe for change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the people's spokesperson, Advocate Mahere, for the eloquent and thoughtful submissions there. Fellow Zimbabweans, Africans, I will not waste much of the time. As you know, that our job as communications department is to revolutionize the communication department, because communication is at the center of advancing the agenda of the national democratic project, because our job is to articulate the issues, the language, the wishes and aspirations of the oppressed, because at the center of the democratic project are the oppressed. Those are people, those are the people that breathe oxygen to the alternative. Those are the people that give the necessary vibe, the necessary oomph, the necessary revolutionary vigor and thought capacity for the alternative to be ready to govern. Fellow Zimbabweans, this is your space. Africans, we as a generation, we as an alternative government in waiting, are organizing and preparing Zimbabwe towards the path of change and transformation, with the sole objective as codified and defined in our founding values, as is going to be communicated in our founding manifesto, that at the center of our project is the goal to attain political power, govern differently, transform the concrete lives of the suffering masses of our people. Fellow Africans, fellow Zimbabweans, citizens of the world, the alternative movement, as led by Advocate Nelson Chamisa, has an election department whose duty and constitutional obligation is to craft an election strategy and direction for a pathway of a democratic breakthrough in our motherland. The elections department has got rich people in the alternative, experts from different sections of society who fit to the agenda of the alternative. That department, fellow Africans and Zimbabweans, you have heard in different press conferences about Councillor Ian Makon, our Secretary for Elections. You have heard about different members of the Elections Department, the Secretary General, the spokesperson, Treasurer General, and other members of the alternative. But in that department, in that committee of the alternative, is the chairperson of the Elections Department. The question that is in the minds and hearts of young people is, what is the alternative doing to ensure that we prepare for this Blitz registration exercise? That is the first question. The second question is, what are the guarantees that people have from the leadership of the citizens movement, who have just been given the temporary mandate by people to be servants of the people in positions of authority, with the intention to execute our revolution in a smoother and revolutionary manner. Allow me to introduce a man who hails from the kingdom, the central kingdom of St. Mary's, a man who was part and parcel of the youthful members of parliament when this country was moving towards democracy in early 2000s. A man who have stood and spoke truth to power, even if it was not fashionable to do so. They call him Ken Saruwiwa, Tagziza Aziz, Honorable Jobs Kalawa National Vice Chairperson, who has been given the mandate by the President, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, to come and articulate to you, fellow Africans, the direction that the citizens movement is taking in regards to the Blitz voter registration program, targeting the demographic dividend of those between the ages of 18 and 35, who have got the strength and capacity to change the balance of power in our country and bring the much needed democratic breakthrough in the next 2023 plebiscite. Honorable Job Zikala, National Chair, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ostallos, Deputy Spokesperson, and also the Deputy Secretary for Communications of our party. Thank you very much, Advocate Fadzai Mahere, for organizing this very important program for us to be able to communicate with the citizens on how we are moving forward as the Yellow Brigade to make sure that all citizens of our country take place and also have an opportunity for them to decide the future of their country in 2023. The most important thing that the Deputy Secretary for Communications and Deputy Spokesperson Ostallos has put across is that what is the plan of our organization to make sure that we register everybody who is very important towards 2023 elections. What we must firstly understand is that I believe we have all heard what Advocate Mahere said, that let's take just for example, the 2 million people who voted for us, 2.6 million people who voted 18. May you register 3 approach. I am trying to get to all of you is individual to make sure that this program becomes a success. Our program as an organization is that we are now putting, come on.
Thank you very much. Our main speaker, network has been a challenge. Honorable Job Sikala, our national vice chairperson. We hope you'll be back. Okay, let me try to add him back so that the Honorable, the Vice Chairperson, can be able to articulate the elections department's preparedness and strategic intervention to the question of elections as far as our movement is concerned. While we are adding the Honorable Vice Chairperson, allow me to give a few minutes to our renowned journalist, Hopewell. Most of you know him for his work and commitment to the question of ensuring that there is media freedom in this country and total change and transformation. One man who realized that I, as a journalist, shouldn't be free or is not free when there is no total freedom for ordinary people in Zimbabwe. These are people who have chosen to be in comfort of their spaces and their houses in Chisipiti, but they've decided to be the voices of the struggles of the oppressed, understanding the moral and generational responsibility that this country needs transformation, this country needs freedom. Because they went for journalists, he knew that if it keep quiet, they will go for soldiers. The soldiers keep quiet, they'll go for students. If the students keep quiet, they'll go for nurses. If nurses keep quiet, they'll go way to speak out before there's no one to speak on your behalf. So allow me to introduce Koma Wopo, whom has been at the center of ensuring that the story of Zimbabwean people is articulated despite the state's control of different various platforms of communication in this country. Without a political agenda, but with the citizens' agenda to ensure that there's transformation and better lives for ordinary people. Mkoma Wopo.
Thank you very much, my brother Ostallos, and the national spokesperson for the Citizens Movement, Fadzai Mahere, the vice chairperson for the Citizens Movement, Job Scala, and the citizens who are here, and the CCC movement itself. I don't have much to say. I would just like to thank you all for all the great work that you have done in the past 4 or so years. You've managed to do a lot regardless of the repression and the violence that was thrown at many of you. Honorable Scala, Advocate Mahere, they've been thrown into prison. I've shared a prison cell with Honorable Scala, and at a time when I was feeling low, he really energized me and many others who were political prisoners at the same time with him at Shikurubi Maximum Prison. So I'd like to thank you all for the great work. And I see a lot of faces of people that have been subjected to repression, like youth leader Netai Marova, and many others that have been intimidated but continue to fight for the liberation of our citizens, people like Skilled Rebara, who's on this call. I would like to encourage the youth to go and register to vote. There is no alternative except voting. There is not going to be anything else that will deliver change to this country except voting. Anything else that might happen will have been triggered by voting. So we need to go out there and register to vote. I've seen a lot of people asking what is CCC doing in energizing citizens. That is a very important question, but an even better question is to say, what are citizens doing to make sure that everyone gets registered? We all come from families, we live with young people in our homes. I've made sure that all the young people that stay with me have been registered to vote. Today, I met a young person who was serving me in a bank, and I told her that I want her to make sure that she puts together a group of 20 people. She said they will wait for me in Alex Park, and I was joking with them that I will inform your future MP, Advocate Mahere, that I'm coming to your space, I'm coming to your area, and I'm going to get these young people, 20 of them, to go and register to vote. That is what we should all be doing, especially the adults. We have a huge responsibility on our shoulders to make sure that the young people in our spaces, the young people in our homes, whether it's in the village or whether it's in the city, they have gone to register and vote. We were also mentored when we were young people. We didn't know at times the importance of politics until we realized that if you don't do politics, politics will do you. There is nothing in this country that is not political. The roads are potholed, it's political. There's no health care for the majority of our people, it's political. Our seniors do not have pensions, it's political. It was looted by ZANU-PF elites. We do not have access to clean drinking water. That's all political stuff. So there's nobody in their right sense or senses who will say that they don't do politics, because politics is part of your everyday living. I want to tell young people that in 2013, 21 out of every 100 people who were eligible to vote actually voted. That's 21%, and that's terrible. It allows ZANU-PF to rig. I've heard people say that, oh, but they are going to rig even if we vote. That's a very wrong approach. The correct approach is to ask yourselves how they rig. They rig when there's voter apathy. Those 21 people that voted in 2013, they did their civic duty. The 79 that did not participate actually gave a golden hand to ZANU-PF to rig, because for every 21 people that voted, ZANU-PF had 79 ballots that it could stuff, that it could play around with in terms of numbers. When we say stuffing ballot, it's not just literally stuffing the ballot boxes. It means that they can change the numbers, they can play around with the numbers, because a big chunk, in this case, 79% had not actually turned up to vote, although they were eligible. Some of them had not even bothered to register to vote. So if ZANU-PF comes back in 2023 as the ruling party, we will have ourselves to blame. We can't blame anybody. We have the tools at our disposal to simply go and vote. If you do not know where your voter registration station is, ask. We are always on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. Ask us and we will assist you. I plead once more with the youth. Your future is in your hands. This country can change tomorrow, and change like the difference of day and light. But it can only change if we go and register to vote and make sure that we vote and make sure that we defend our vote. If you were to ask Zambians who delivered change, they will tell you that there was a lot of work that was done in registering people. There was a lot of political consciousness that was infused in young people to make sure that they go and register to vote. Zambians were waking up at 12 midnight to go and wait in the queues. But you can't go and wait in a queue if you're not registered to vote. So the first step to take is to go and register to vote. Tell your friends, tell your peers, tell your cousins, tell your nephews that the only way they can have a better future is to register and go to vote. Somebody who is 60 years old today, or let's put it at 65, somebody who's 65 years old today had an opportunity to go and take part in politics by merely voting. If they didn't, today they do not have a pension. If they didn't, today their grandkids are out of school and they don't have jobs. So it's incumbent on you understanding that the decision you're making today to register to vote is an investment for your future 40 years from now. If you don't make that deposit, if you don't go to register to vote, registering to vote is the equivalent of depositing money as a life assurance for your future. So you really have to go and mobilize people in your communities and make sure that they register to vote. When people like Advocate Fadzai Mahere, who are our leaders, people like Vice Chair Job Sikala, people like Vice National Spokesperson Comrade Ostallos, and many other leaders are tweeting stuff. Please retweet it. It's important for you to retweet this stuff because it gives it a wider visibility, a wide angle for people to actually see what's being said. Don't just read and move on. Retweet. Don't just like. We don't want your likes because your likes don't deliver anything. We want retweets so that other people can go and look on your timelines and they will read and they will understand, and those retweets are an instrument or a tool of registering announcements that ordinarily other people would not have known about if you had not retweeted. So I repeat again, please retweet all the key messages. When the Citizens Coalition for Change posts on their Twitter handle or Facebook or Instagram accounts, anything to do with voting, anything to do with fundraising, please retweet it. We want to see those retweets in their thousands so that we know that we are getting ready for 2023. ZANU PF has got a big war chest because they're using taxpayers' money. Monzora has got a big war chest because he's using taxpayers' money. The Citizens Coalition for Change does not have money. The money will come from the citizens themselves. You've got to invest in your future. You've got to invest to make sure that you get liberated, you get access to jobs, you get access to good schools, you get access to good health, you drive your little cars on good roads, you are able to live a normal life. That normal life can only come if we do the things that we need to do as citizens, if we play our part. Let's not just wait for Triple C to do everything for us. They depend on us. We are the roots, they are the tree that is growing in order to deliver us from corrupt rule. Everything that we suffer from today is caused by corrupt rule. The only way you can make sure that your sister, your wife, your mother can give birth in a normal and safe space is by making sure that you register to vote and you elect a government that is going to deliver services and not loot public funds. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank everyone who is attending this space. Follow the leaders who are on this space, retweet the stuff that they tweet. I'm going to pin one of the fundraisers. Please retweet that fundraiser. Make sure that as many people get to retweet it as well. Encourage each other as young people to retweet stuff that really matter. Of course, we post jokes at times, we post music, we post stuff to do with films. It's part of human life, it's entertainment, but let's not make that the central aspect of our lives. The central aspect of our lives is to deliver ourselves from corrupt rule. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Koma Wopo, for the clear words of encouragement to young people. I would want to, again, as your host tonight, fellow Zimbabweans and Africans, to read out what is needed for one to be registered as a voter. You must have a national ID, you must have a proof of residence, but if not, there'll be a commission of oath so that you are allowed to register as a voter. Those are critical things that every young person must have. Those who are having conversation with their relatives and compatriots from diaspora and different parts of the world, let's remind our families that the Blitz registration process is on across the country. We have tweeted in our various micro-blogging sites the information distribution of votes, registration centers in Zimbabwe, and we encourage everyone to follow those and distribute those who have tried to redesign them so that they are visible to different people. So we are also going to be having today, because it's a day for young people, we've made this program as a communication department, as was confirmed by our spokesperson, Advocate Mahere, that we want to listen to the voices of young people. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? What have you faced? Have you attempted to register as a vote? What is the problem? In short, so that we're able to respond and give people more time to make their contribution. So now I'm going to talk about what we call the 5 tasks and asks for young people. For every time we have given the responsibility of change and transformation unto the hands of politicians, unto the hands of leaders. Where I grew up, we were very clear. We used to quote Che Guevara that there are no liberators. Liberators don't exist. The people liberate themselves. As you know, fellow young people, that writing from France, revolutionary intellectual Frantz Fanon said every generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. The 1970 generation chose its a generational mandate, which was to bring total transformation and change to the sufferings of black people in our country. We carry the generational responsibility to advance that generational and revolutionary project by bringing in total economic transformation to our people and true total independence that we have not enjoyed in our teapot-shaped country for the past 4 decades. Fellow Africans, these are the 5 tasks that we request and ask from young people as the alternative. Number 1, have a national identity document. Number 2, register to vote. Number 3, take a friend, tell a friend to register to vote. Number 4, go out and vote on the day of election. That's an important call to duty for all young people. If you are registered as a voter, keep on preparing and be ready to turn out as a voter in the 2023 election and more recently in the 26th of March by-election. Number 5 is to defend and secure the vote. We got the generational responsibility to ensure that we bring in total change and transformation to our people. Thanks to the advent of social media, we wouldn't be hosting these spaces courtesy of the regime in Salisbury, but we are happy for the advent of technology and all these other platforms that were able to communicate. So I would allow people who have requested to ask a few questions. Let's be quick. The first ask is, what are the challenges that you have faced if you've attempted to register to vote? What are the things in 30 seconds or 45 seconds that you think the alternative must be able to do to ensure that we liberalize and democratize electoral processes in this country, albeit the reform challenges that we are facing? So I will take the first question from Brother Chris, who has a question, so that, and then after that, we'll have Normal to also ask their question quickly so that we allow others to come in. Thank you. You can go ahead, Chris. Okay, while this Chris sorting out, we can have Normal. I'm not so sure. Why is it that we can't hear Chris or no more? Can you confirm if you can hear me, Chris?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I think, sorry, man, my mic was awful. I didn't notice that. Good evening, Brother Ostallos. I'm very glad to be here at this moment and to attend this good conversation in the evening time. Actually, I always enjoy your speeches, Brother Ostallos. You're excellent. You are well talented, brother. My quick question is this. I saw some headlines around on the Herald and all over on social media for the past 2 days ago, whereby the ZANU-PF people, they are going to open a case against Triple C and the ZEC, whereby they're saying the 666 people, they took their color, their yellow color, and now they are claiming yellow as their color. So do we really have time as 666 people to attend some silly cases instead of us going around and mobilize people to go and vote? Do President Nelson Chamisa really have time to attend those silly cases as we are facing a very serious time right now? That's my question, Brother Ostallos.
Thank you. No more. You can drop now. Advocate Mahere, spokesperson, can you respond to that?
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, no more, for asking that question. Now, I just want to point out that, as a matter of law, you can't copyright a color. I think there have been numerous campaigns that have used yellow as their color. And as a matter of law, even if you look at our intellectual property statutes, whether it's the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act, the Trademarks Act, there really is no competent cause of action that can be brought by ZANU-PF or any other political party, barring us from using the color yellow. That would not only be unconstitutional, but completely unprecedented in all of our law. I think, we just have to be careful about what ZANU-PF is doing. They did not budget for the huge momentum that, reintroducing or reinvigorating, restarting the movement would do. And, the color yellow is it's a symbol. That is not where the magic is. The magic is in the idea that people have that they want a new Zimbabwe. They want a fresh, energetic start. They want the citizens to come first when it comes to the governance of this nation. The mistake that they and Mr. Munzura are making is thinking that the magic is in just the color yellow. No, the magic is in the idea and the ability of citizens to converge, to come together and say, look, we want a different Zimbabwe. And when we say we're painting the nation yellow, it's not about literally painting the nation yellow, but it's about really demanding a fresh start. So we're not going to be deterred by that propaganda, because all it's calculated to do is to dampen the spirits of our citizens. We even saw what they were saying there. They said, Triple C is satanic. It's actually 666. We all know that that's a load of nonsense, and it's our collective responsibility, every single one of us, to ensure that we spread the message that no, this is a citizens' movement. We've got the right to participate and form an organization that participates in elections without hindrance. I think, one of the South African leaders said that, look, it's completely unprecedented, where, Mr. Mnangagwa tries to handpick his own opposition. That's not how politics works. Political power lies in the people. So we must always remember that, we shouldn't be deterred. Certainly the movement, I can assure you that the movement is not going to be deterred by these empty threats from ZANU-PF. We even saw the threats that were made by Mr. Chinamasa. We've seen the threats that were made by Mr. Goodwill's Masimire Mbwa at the weekend in Harare province when he was addressing a rally. They're saying all sorts of things, but guess what? That is not going to stop us. President Chamisa has said time and again that we are unstoppable as a movement. We've budgeted and prepared for the fact that they're going to try and attack and slander what we're trying to build. But as citizens, citizens, we have to show that we are wiser. They tried to decimate the main opposition, but to their surprise, even though they took away the money, they took away the building, they purported to recall lawfully elected leaders, and yet the real movement is known to the people, to the extent that Mr. Munzura is panicking so much that he's saying that, look, even when Triple C candidates are elected, he knows we're going to be elected, but he says, he alleges that, look, when you're elected, I'm going to recall you again and pretend again that you're mine. This is clear theft and political chicanery on the part of the regime. But the citizens must continue to remain steadfast. We're not going to be deterred by that. We don't have time for silly legal battles. And trust me, those purported legal battles, imagined or real, aren't going to detain us. We've got a team of lawyers that's already consulted. As a matter of due diligence, it's important to state on record that before, we used the name Citizens Coalition for Change at nomination court on the 26th of January, we approached the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission and we said to them, look, is the Triple C, nomenclature available for use? And they assured us that it was. We said, has anyone else used it? And is there anything standing in the way of us using this nomenclature or this naming? And they said there wasn't. So we're absolutely surprised, that an allegation could be made that, they would take us to court. Certainly there's no law that they can point to that would allow them to do that. But we know ZANU-PF and the regime are really bent on trying to thwart the citizens' movement. What's clear is they are panicking. They are panicking left, right, and center. They panicked so much that they called us a terrorist organization. They called us ISIS. I mean, just the sheer, bankruptcy of intellectual thought in their arguments to try and counter an idea whose time has come is really, really upsetting. We thought they'd come at us with, an alternative idea. We thought that they would try and justify their continued stay in power, pointing to policies that have worked. There simply are none. We thought that they would point to certain achievements and election promises that have been fulfilled. They simply have failed to do that. What is their answer? Their answer is to try and thwart voter registration. You will never hear Mr. Mnangagwa telling young people to register to vote. You will never hear, Mr. Nick Angwana saying, young people, go and register to vote. You will never hear anyone from ZANU-PF, even the young people, the Tafazwa Mgwadis, you'll never hear them saying register to vote. Why? They know that they don't have political power in popular support. They know that they don't have the support of the masses, so they will do everything they can to try and silence our voices as citizens and silence our power and, dumb down our contribution to the body politic. So what do we have to do as citizens? We have to make sure that we are, wise to their plan and show that, look, we're going to register to vote. Whatever obstacle you put in front of us, we're going to thwart it. Whatever attempt to one party rule, as citizens, we choose to come together. We choose to have a stake in making Zimbabwe great again. And we're going to do that through the ballot box. We're going to vote. Not only are we going to register to vote, not only are we going to register to vote, we're going to vote on election day. We're not only going to stop at voting, we're going to ensure that we defend the vote, ensure that there is a complete transfer of power, and that we install a government led by, leaders whom we have chosen, a citizen-focused government, a people-focused government. So that's what we have to do as citizens. That's why we need to register to vote, because ZANU-PF is trying every trick in the book to ensure that we don't register to vote, to ensure that we don't vote, to ensure that ZANU-PF stays in power. We have to ensure that they don't. So don't worry about the legal battles. We've got a strategy to deal with that. We've got a legal team that's done all the due diligence to ensure that, we don't have any sustainable, competent cause of action mounted against us. And also, we expect the propaganda from ZANU-PF because they're panicking. They did not see this coming. They were completely caught by surprise. They're completely flat-footed. Even in their communications, you see that they don't have an answer. So as citizens, let's also, have the courage of our convictions and stand by our movement and ensure that we push the register to vote mantra. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Advocate Nelson Chamisa. We lead in terms of ideas. We are very clear in terms of our responsibility. Fellow Zimbabweans, I'll take the next question. Remember, the conversation is about registering to vote. The conversation is about challenges that you have faced. What are the 2-3 words that you think are critical in terms of us to galvanize and reach the 6 million target? How do you, as citizens, as a generation, as young people, think we should do? Tell us from your different social, political, and economic spaces to say, for us as vendors, we want this so that we win Zimbabwe for change and total transformation. Thank you very much. I would allow Comrade, I see Comrade James also wants to, has got a question. You can unmute your mic and ask your question. Thank you. 30 seconds. Comrade James, you can unmute and ask your question. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks, Ostallos. My question is, okay, to start with, I'm a registered voter. I'm not a youth anymore, but I foresee some challenges that youth are facing. So I wanted to find out, in terms of this ZEC Blitz for voter registration, do we have the Registrar General also available at these Blitz sites so that, you know, those that are failing to access IDs are able to get these IDs done, and then they go to register? But I see the exercise could be futile, you know, allowing people to go on a Blitz without the right documents. So I don't know what challenges the youths are facing going forward. How best can it be done? You know, at the same time, having the Blitz from ZEC, having the Registrar General also doing IDs. So what is the correct position there? I think in one of your comments you said, sorry, the youths are accessing the IDs. How are they accessing the IDs at these voter Blitz sites? And you mentioned something about Commissioner of Oaths being available for the youths. What is really happening, you know, when you don't have proof of res? The Commissioner of Oaths available at every site, or you have to, you know, to incur some cost to go and to get your affidavit done before you come and register to vote?
Thank you, Advocate. You can respond to that one quickly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You know, the question of proof of residence is a very simple one. All you need to do is get an affidavit that confirms your address where you reside. There's a form that ZEC also uses. I also posted it on my Twitter today. It's really available. But if you can't access a Commissioner of Oaths, who's supposed to commission your affidavit can be any lawyer. It can be a police officer. It can be a priest. A lot of them offer this service for free, so you shouldn't really be incurring a cost. At best, it's a very nominal cost, and it's not the sort of cost that would deter one who's bent on securing transformation for their future. So please, let's all ensure that we get an affidavit or ask for an affidavit to be done on our behalf. And there's one that I've posted up on Twitter. But if you really have serious challenges, please just inbox us or get in touch with us and we will assist you. Any lawyer, and most priests are priests, pastors are justices of the peace and can commission affidavits. Police officers generally can commission affidavits. And so if you go to any police station that's close to you, you can do that. But in addition to those affidavits, or as an alternative, you can also use your own rates clearance, a rates bill. So if there's a utility bill, a water bill, a power bill, something like that that you've got, or a credit facility. So some people have an account with Edgar's or even even a bank statement is sufficient as proof of residence. So it's not a very complicated requirement, and we don't need to make it sound as though it's daunting or complicated. It's something that definitely is accessible and should be accessible. And the only reason it's required under our electoral laws to ensure that you are allocated the correct polling station, and to ensure that there's no rigging and multiple registrations in different places. So that's why proof of residence is important, so that you're allocated a polling station that's closest to your residence. But it's not difficult to obtain. So please, I hope that doesn't deter you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. I'll allow Comrade Treasure Pasopo to make his question very quick and fast. Comrade Pasopo, thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Ostallos, the Deputy Spokesperson of the movement, and revolutionary greetings to your listeners. My question, Comrade Ostallos, is that the president, when he was in his speech, when you were launching the party, he clearly stated it that we have been winning elections since formation, and ZANU-PF has been stealing them from us. But he clearly, unambiguously, and unequivocally stated that he will not allow this to continue happening. So in any case, we fail to technically run away from ZANU-PF as a mischievous way of stealing elections. Should we continue with our strict regime of exercise, press-ups, jogging, and lifting weights with our 5 a.m. club after elections? In any case, you would need us. How are we going to do that if ZANU-PF steals the election again? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Pasopo. You asked a fundamental question around how do we defend and secure the vote. We have put it clearly that part of the ask and task of young people is the ability to organize and defend the vote. I've added my brother Joseph from Zambia because we had a conversation around a clear program of defending the vote. And you and me know that the strategic direction on that element can't be part and parcel of the plate to be eaten in this conversation. But I want to answer that question in clear terms. The Youth Assembly, as commanded by Commander Obey Sitole, is very clear that they have 3 areas of focus and strategic vision and direction. Number 1, resist, defend, and advance. Thank you. I'll take Comrade Timmy to ask the question. Thank you. You can unmute and okay, it's dropped off. Remember, we want to know what are the challenges that you have faced in terms of the voter registration program. The Blitz is on us. Registration centers are across the entire country. We urge young people between the ages of 18 and 35. But if you are not in that specific demographic group, we also urge you, and you are not a registered voter, we also urge you to register. It's your constitutional right. It's your political and moral responsibility. Let us all register to vote. This process is going to be there for the next few weeks, so we must make sure that millions of young people register to vote. We want to know what are the challenges that you are facing, what are the opportunities that you think the citizens movement and our generation can harvest to make sure that our demographic group is registered as voters. Comrade Justin, you can unmute your mic and ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Spokes, and also the spokesperson and the host. I just wanted to find out a number of things, but I'll be quick. The first one, is it possible for all the areas where we who are going to participate in the forthcoming election to identify the areas in which the ZEC is taking out or is carrying out the registration processes, and more like go into the same areas, try to speak to people, telling them to go and register. Why? Because it will be actually easy for those who normally give excuses of transport to say we can't go maybe to designated the places, maybe in town or somewhere else where they need to catch a taxi. Is it possible for our teams to go in those areas? So it means, in other words, they have to obtain more like a program for the sake. And also now those areas now which are going to participate in the forthcoming elections to team up and actually mobilize people in those areas, because the registration center would have come to their doorstep. And I'm sure you will find out that maybe the registration number will go up. And then maybe the other thing that I wanted to find out for you, is it possible to have more like an information desk where we are going to receive these suggestions on a continuous basis? Because we may start now for the upcoming election, but we still have a journey up to 2023, so that at least people will come up with these suggestions. And some of the suggestions, they come even as we encounter challenges as we campaign and prepare for 2023, so that at least we know that we've got a desk where we are answered maybe in the shortest possible time, before we get to these maybe actually seasoned updates that you normally have as an institution. There are some people who may not be sure, who may need urgent response, so that at least they don't back off. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Koma Justin. Where we have taken note, the leadership is also here. The aspect of providing information leaflets and platforms, of making sure that people are aware of different spaces and platforms where they can get information, and also where the specific registration centers are. We are going to use different methods and ways to make sure that the information reaches out to people. This one being one of them. Thank you. Because we are going to be finishing our space very soon, I would also allow Danford to come in with their question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ostallos. I would want to thank Advocate Mayere. My question is directed at our national spokesperson, Advocate Mayere. And I think she highlighted a number of things, and that's where my question emanates. To say, in as much as the citizens are prepared to go and do their registration, and there's a lot of zeal for the registration, but I'm not too sure about these threats that are coming from these regime puppets who are talking about issues of to do with the recalling of. Definitely, we are going to be winning for our councillors and MPs. We have had situations in which we were informed before that our harvest house was not going to be taken. The election that
Apologies, viewers and listeners. We seem to have lost our connection to the Twitter Spaces. It seems to have been stopped suddenly, but please do hang on in there. If they should come back on, we will reconnect to them, and you may continue to listen. But we can read comments in the meantime, whilst we wait for the Twitter Spaces to come back on. Mudara Munumumwe Wekwanya Mondo says community leaders, for example councillors, are not doing much to mobilize to be registered from grassroots level. I think that's something very important that you point out, Kuti. It shouldn't just be something that we are talking about on Twitter Spaces, on Facebook, on YouTube, because the actual registration to vote needs to be done on the ground. So it's very important for the councillors and community leaders who are on the ground to mobilize the young people to go and register to vote. You also say student union should also mobile high school students, for example, mobilize high school students, for example, those who are over 18 years should be encouraged. Yes, very true. Young people who just turned 18 should also be encouraged to register to vote. And you say social media influencers should also be employed as another strategy of encouraging people to register. Very, very important. We have a lot of people on social media who are in groups where they mainly talk about gossip issues. Swinhu zvakaita sana Mai Titi and Madam Boss. And usually in those groups, if any serious posts are posted there, most people just scroll past. Okay, I think the Twitter Spaces is back up. Let me see if I can connect so that we can continue to listen. Here we go.
What are the challenges and opportunities for young people? Our target, as I've made it very clear, is that we want young people to register in numbers. Our target is 6 million votes. And the question is, there is a Blitz voter registration program where the stations are closer to where you stay. So we want to make sure that all young people are registered as voters. So we want to know for those, either you have told a friend to go and register to vote and they've given you feedback, what are the challenges? We want to know whether you have gone to register as a vote, what are the challenges that you faced, or what are the opportunities that you see, so that collectively as a generation and as a people, we're able to move forward. So I would continue to take questions so that you can tell us what are the challenges that you have faced in your work, and what are the opportunities that you also think are there for our generation to move the agenda of massive voter registration in Zimbabwe. Chimbomira yakomana ndiri paTwitter. Thank you very much, Comrade Desmond. You can go ahead, unmute your mic and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Ostallos. My question is more or less around some information to do with 2018 elections. The voters' roll of 2018 was quite explicit in the lowest numbers of young people who had registered. In fact, the lowest number of registered voters were in Matabele North, Mat South, and in Blawayo. And not just of young people, but in general. So my question now is, as we are doing this Blitz registration exercise, what can be done to re-energize or to reignite the appetite, particularly of young people in those 3 provinces? Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Desmond, for that question. I'll also take another question from Comrade Ndaba. You can go ahead and mute, and we move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Spokesperson. Hello, citizens. My question is on this regime in relation to voter registration. It's like they are in panic mode already. We hear in some spaces they are giving the youth money to go and open up projects. Can we have also a counter program as a movement to empower our youth so that they can be encouraged to go and vote? It's not vote buying per se, but we want to see to it that they have something tangible to empower them.
Thank you very much. Ndaba, you can unmute. I'll also ask Luke D to ask his question. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Comrade Gift. My one is not quite a question, but it's like a disappointment to some sort. I just want to find out, since we are talking about the elections and the ones that we have and we are starting to participate as CCC is the ones that we have in March. But I hear that we still have got a challenge, or we had a challenge that we couldn't field a contestant or a candidate in one of the constituencies in Matabeleland. How is that so, or can you explain to us what happened? Because now we don't want the same thing to happen when we are going to do the major ones come 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I'll quickly respond to the 3 questions. The question asked by my brother Ndaba was around the issue of, the economy and material benefits for of the regime's abuse of state resources to use them as trinkets and trappings for all of that. That's why we make sure that every generation manipulation includes patronage, distribution of state resources to advance ZANU's agenda of power accumulation and retention. But our Social Democratic Party, our values are different from ZANU. They guide us on how to engage the electorate, because we don't believe that votes must be bought. We don't believe that a young person must be given trinkets for them to be able to cast their vote. What is their future that is on the ballot? It's their own future of their own children that is on the ballot. So we must be able to appeal to the conscience of our own generation so that we understand the value and importance of the right to vote. In terms of the challenges, that question, my brother, has been answered in several platforms. It's a new template of community-based candidate selection process with a 98% efficacy, which has managed to produce community-based leaders. One of the problems that has been faced has been resolved and ironed out, as was communicated officially in the public. Our focus, as we have articulated, is to make sure that this by-election is a test of our systems, capacity of the Electoral Commission to conduct election, the preparedness of young people to go and cast the vote. So for us, it is a test run and preparatory and a side match in preparation of the main match and the main meal in 2023. I thank you. I will take other questions so that we're able to finish our space as was defined. Comrade Beauty, you can unmute your mic and ask your questions. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for having me speak here, and thank you for hosting the space. May you have more spaces from the communication department coming through, please. My question is, I've come across a situation where most people that I went to school with, these are kids of the 80s, some of them are not registered to vote. The 90s kids are not registered to vote. The 2000s kids are not registered to vote. So my question is, how can we tailor make our marketing to these people to register to vote? Because probably the messaging that we're sending is not tailor made for them to feel the impact or the need to register to vote. And yet we all know each vote counts and each vote leads to change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my sister Beauty. I'll go to the inspirator. You can unmute your mic and ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Ostallos, for giving me this opportunity to speak. And I want also to acknowledge the work that you and your team have been doing. We have been seeing a lot of progress in the campaign. My question is the same as Beauty's question. It's about the younger generation. I see we have a lot of potential in the marketing side of things. I just want to ask, what is our strategy in penetrating, especially AMA 2000s, considering Kwane, TikTok? Those guys are influenced by the social media and influencers. Do we have a plan to rope in a couple of influencers, both on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, to our party as brand ambassadors, to campaign for those guys to go and register to vote, and then create some trending hashtags to encourage them to register to vote as well? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll quickly respond to those two critical questions. The question of how does our message reach out to the Soweto generation? Look, we have made it very clear, and I would take this opportunity to post my Instagram account, because part of our task to revolutionize information department is to be present in those platforms, but more importantly, to have people who appeal to the conscience and speak the language of that specific demographic group. That's why we've begun conversation with critical people. Obviously, we can't name them in these platforms for obvious reasons, but also we have to make sure that we target those young people. Some of them are in rural villages, some of them are in bridges in ghetto, unemployed, dejected, yet some of them are in universities, some of them, as we have said, are on those platforms like TikTok, Instagram. Our intention is to galvanize and organize those young people, articulate the story and the story of transformation and change in their own language, delivered by people that they understand and can be able to connect with. And we obviously, as part and parcel of this space, is to take more advices, more words from people and strategies on how to ensure that we engage with different sections of society, because this is the citizens movement. That's why we have said we want this space to be about citizens, articulating what should be done, what is the role, and what are the challenges. Thank you. Comrade Gariwo, you can unmute your mic and ask. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if it's my turn to speak now because the name that was spoken just now by...
Okay, you can go ahead, Nika.
Okay, thank you so much, Deputy Spokesperson, and everyone who is in this space for giving me this platform. I come from a rural area deep there in Nembuzia, Gokwe. And my question is, I just want to know how much focus and interest does the CCC leadership put in ZANU-PF shenanigans of doing constituents delimitation exercise, because that exercise by ZANU-PF is meant to increase its numbers for MPs that goes into the parliament. So I just want to know how much focus does the CCC movement put to ensure that they counter ZANU-PF's strategy to have more MPs than yourselves? Because in Nembuzia, when I grew up, we used to have one MP, but if you check in that province or district, I mean, you may find out that there is now 4 MPs. So I'm talking about this now, but I think it's also important for 2023 because we know we are saying ngapinda ke mkomana, but mkomana afanele kupinda yega. There has to be people and MPs who are going to be with him. So how much focus is the leadership putting it to ensure that they counter such ZANU-PF strategies? Because if you check the delimitation exercise, it also affects your seats even in towns whereby the ZANU-PF, when they do the delimitation, they take part of the urban area and part of the rural area and make it a constituent so that they have more MPs. That's my first question. And the other one is about some areas which seem to be no-go areas for the opposition because ZANU-PF says this is our territory. I like what you did in the previous months or last year, I think, where Comrade Bondo had to go to Toko and other areas, which was a very good move. So I just want to know about the current elections that are going to happen on the 26th of March. How much focus are you putting into those areas if there is any elections that are going to take place in those areas, which are no good areas for ZANU-PF? How much focus are you putting in to ensure that we at least try and see how much influence you are having to ensure that by 2023, we will know if the strategies of penetrating those no-go areas is going to work or not? And I also want to add about the issue of the young who might not have interest in registering to vote and all that. You also spoke about university students. You also talk about the 18-year-olds and stuff. But I think also as the leadership, I had project Vote 2023 saying that the ZEC has opened registration centers at universities. I think it's important for you to also just put an effort to ensure that university students are registered to vote. I can remember my years as a university student coming from a rural area. I knew nothing about politics. So it's important that there is much focus in those areas as well to ensure that the youth can register to vote. Thank you so much for the platform.
Thank you very much. Let's keep our questions very quick. And once you ask, you can drop from the speakers because we are failing to have other people ask our questions. But I will respond quickly to that question. Look, ZANU has deliberately manufactured a propaganda that it has wide control of rural areas and that rural areas are strongholds of ZANU-PF. We've got to support as an alternative movement in rural areas. What we must be focusing on is how do we make sure that we liberate our people from harvest of fear that is used by ZANU-PF. How do we ensure that we deal with the politics of patronage and abuse of state institutions and arms of government in those particular areas? That is where the focus is. How do we defend the voter? How do we protect the voter? That is the generational responsibility and call to all young people to deal with questions of fear, to deal with questions of patronage, to deal with questions of abuse.
Again, the Twitter spaces seems to have dropped, but let's wait a while and see if it will come back on. Then we can join and continue to listen. But while we wait to see if they're going to come back on, we can just read a few comments. Evans Chitiyo says, I'm asking an issue of IDs because I have some young ladies I approached at workplace complex and are willing to register to vote, but no identity cards. Evans Chitiyo, again the same comment repeated to do with ID cards. Our viewers and listeners, we were just listening to the CCC Zimbabwe Twitter Spaces on voter registration blitz, focusing on the voices of the youth, where Comrade Ostallos Siziba was taking questions to do with voter registration. He was asking viewers and listeners to submit questions to do with any complications, issues they are facing, or to make suggestions how to make the voter registration more powerful and effective. For some reason, the spaces dropped, and we are just waiting for a little bit to see if it will come back on before we call it quits. If it does not come back on in the next few minutes, it might be that it will not be coming back on, because it was supposed to end at 10 o'clock and now it's 17 minutes to 10. We can read comments whilst we are waiting to see if it will come back on. Max Manika says, why can't I register and vote from where I am? Where are you, Max Manika? Are you in Zimbabwe? Are you in the diaspora? Admire Flavored says, meeting inoitwa public, all strategies ari kunzwikwa enemy. Hapana zviri kumbotaurwa apa zviri secretive. I mean, voter registration blitz is on. Everybody knows that. We are mobilizing people to register to vote. There's nothing secret about that. By now, you should know that any strategies are not discussed in public. As you noticed with the rebranding of MDC into CCC, it was not done in public and it was strategized in secret and only publicized when it was appropriate. So there is nothing there is nothing that is being discussed that is secretive. So it's not a problem at all. Don't worry about that. John Makwana says CCC must visit Gokwe yese zvavo vanhu vaneta vachinzi ndeve zanu. Oh, thank you for that, John Makwana. We will try to get the message through to the authorities. Max Manyika is in the USA. I think the reason why, Max Manyika, why you can't register from diaspora is because ZANU-PF has not set up the systems and structures that would allow people in the diaspora to register or to vote. So it is something that we diasporans must fight for, that right to vote, since we are citizens and the nation benefits a lot from our remittances. And so the right to vote is something that we must advocate for. Dear viewers and listeners, we have waited to see if this Twitter Spaces is coming back up. It looks like it's not coming back. I think maybe they had some technical issues and it just ended abruptly. But let me take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us and to thank you for your comments and your questions. We will make it a point to submit your questions and any suggestions that you posted here. We will submit them to Comrade Ostallos, who was hosting the Twitter Spaces. And with that, I would just like to wish you all a blessed day, morning, afternoon, night, evening, depending on where you're joining us from. And hope to see you again right here on our Facebook and YouTube platforms in our following programs. Good night and goodbye.
Ngapinde ake mukomana ngapinde aiwa ngapinde ake mukomana aiwa ngapinde aiwa ngapinde ake mukomana ngapinde aiwa ngapinde ake mukomana aiwa ngapinde aiwa ngapinde vana vezimbabwe vabvuma naivo vati ngapinde nyangwe mapurisa abvuma naivo vati ngapinde masoja abvumawo naivo vati ngapinde